2025 is just around the corner, which means that it is my favorite time of year, goal setting season. I love setting goals. That is the Capricorn in me, truly. I love Christmas, I love my birthday, I love New Year's, and the fact that that's all coming up in the same week, chef's kiss. I love it. So I thought today I would take you guys through how I personally am doing my goal setting for 2025. As much as I am wholeheartedly of the belief that you can set goals any time of year. You don't have to set goals on January 1st for January 1st for the whole year. It's just something that I like to do. And I did find that particularly the past 2 years when I didn't set focused goals and like be really intentional with my goal setting, I felt kind of off for those years. So this year I thought I'd get back to my roots and do my standard goal setting that makes me feel really good throughout the year. If this helps you guys, awesome. If it doesn't and you hate this and you don't want to do that, that's cool, bro. I'm not going to force you to do my goal setting technique. Also, forgot to mention, if you're new here, hi, my name's Lily. I'm 23 years old and I am a performer living in Sydney. Welcome. All right, let's get straight into it. So the very first thing that I did this year that I normally do is I just did like a big brainstorm, brain dump of all the different areas of my life that I normally like to set goals in. Relationships with my friends, family, my health and fitness, my career, hobbies, skincare, hair care, literally anything and everything that you can think of that is an area of your life, I guess. Write it down. That was my very first thing. I always like to brainstorm. And then from there, I like to think of if I was going to set goals for all of these areas, what would those goals be? How could I improve that particular area of my life? This then gives me a list of about 1,001 things to set. I do like to set a lot of goals, personally. We'll get to that in a sec, but that's a little bit overboard. Once I have this giant, enormous list of things in my life that I kind of want to improve and I have a bit of an idea of how I want to improve it. For example, fitness, go to the gym, create a consistent gym routine, right? Skincare, I might have said, you know, get a better skincare routine. Friends and family, post for people's birthdays every single day when there's birthdays, stuff like that. Once I've got this big list, I then go through and actually think very critically about, does this actually matter to me? Or am I putting it on there because it feels like something that I should be putting on there because everybody else is? Don't hate me, but skincare, I'm sorry, it's just not that important to me. It's something that I do like to do when I have time, but it's really not a big focus for me just because I don't care that much. Like, I put on my sunscreen, I splash my face with water, I cleanse my skin when I've been wearing makeup, but aside from that, every time I put it in my goals, it kind of falls behind because it's just not something that really matters to me. And knowing that made this year's goals really helpful, being able to just kind of cross that off and decide, you know what, since it doesn't really matter to me, it can kind of go on the back burner. It's not going to be written down as one of my major goals because it's not something that actually matters to me. It's something that just I've been putting on because it feels like I should be, because everybody else in the world is putting it on there, you know? So that's a good way to just kind of cull some of those goals that don't actually matter to you that much. In this kind of area, I also like to group some goals together and think, okay, well, these two are pretty similar. Let's lump them together as one goal. And this kind of makes sense to do this together. Now that I've brainstormed all of my goals and I've worked out what actually matters to me, I then went through and I picked out 25 goals for 2025. That is ridiculous. I'm aware. I know that that is completely counterintuitive to what everybody else in the world has said for goal setting, but hear me out. For me personally, if I get to the end of the year and I have just had this one major goal that I'm putting all of my energy towards, and if I haven't achieved it, I'm gonna end the year feeling kind of trash. That's just me. But then if I set a whole bunch of goals and I manage to achieve maybe 2 or 3 on the very long list, I'm gonna feel awesome about myself. And again, this is just me. It just works for my brain, and my whole reason for all of my goal setting is to feel happier and to feel better, just bring myself a little bit more joy, because I really like achieving goals. I like setting goals, I like achieving them. It's great, it makes me happy. That's why I do all of this, because, I mean, yes, they also are typically the goals are also helpful for improving my life, but the point of it for me is to feel happy. So if I'm not gonna feel happy by only setting 3 really big goals, might as well just not do that and set 25 goals that are kind of varying degrees of difficulty. Another really great thing about setting a whole lot of goals is that for me, again, this is all just personal opinion, but for me, it just keeps it a little bit more interesting, so that way I can kind of vary up what I'm focusing on throughout the year, because one day I might be like, okay, I'm focusing just on the main really big goal, and then the next day I'm kind of thinking, oh God, I don't feel like doing that, but I still feel like being a little bit productive. What else can I do? And I look down the list, and then I just pick something else, and I go with it. And again, it makes me feel better. If your goals are not making you feel good and feel better, they're probably not great, and you might want to reconsider how you do goal setting. I'm not in control of you though, so don't come for me. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion. Another last little thing also, like, to be clear, never have I ever in this whole time that I've done this big long list of goals achieved every single goal in that year. That's never happened. However, if that did happen, that would be absolutely insane. That would be so cool, so crazy. And I do like to think, the little delusional part of my brain likes to be like, you know what? Let's set these 25 goals, and I know logically that I probably am not going to get all of them. But if I did, that would be pretty cool. So that's another reason that I like to set a lot of goals. It's kind of just my wish list to the universe for the end of the year. Okay, so now we've gone through why I'd like to set my big long list. Let's go through what actually goes onto this list. The best kind of goals to make this work for me. First things first, like I already said, goals that actually matter. If you're just putting a ridiculous amount of goals on this list, but half of them don't matter to you, what is the point? You're just writing a list of things for fun. But hey, if you're having fun, go for it. But for me, that has just not really been helpful in the past. So this year I was really focusing on things that actually matter to me, that will make a difference to my life, / will make me happy by the end of the year. Because again, that is the whole point of all of this, is just for me to be happy. So yes, picking goals that actually matter and not just things that you feel like you should be doing really makes a big difference in goal setting. The next thing that makes a huge difference is, for me, giving myself a big variety on the kinds of goals that I'm setting. So I'm sure you've probably heard of SMART goals by now, S-M-A-R-T. These goals, we all had to do them in school. You probably know what it is. If you don't, basically it's an acronym that stands for, bear with me, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive? Timely? Something like that. That's the acronym there. I don't always find them helpful for every type of goal. So in my big long list of goals, typically I actually try and avoid SMART goals as best as I can, because I do feel like they, for me, again, personally for me, they kind of set me up for failure, where if I don't achieve that thing, I will feel really bad about myself. So I try and have as few SMART goals as possible, and I more opt for vibe goals, I guess you could say. I don't really know how else to describe it, but goals that can kind of go over a long period of time. They aren't time-based. That's the main thing. And if they are measurable, it's more measurable in my own self, I guess. Like, I can decide what it is instead of like actually tallying up a list of things and like keeping score, if that makes sense. That's kind of how SMART goals have always felt to me. But again, that's just me. If they work for you, awesome. Do you, boo. But in saying that, I might still have 1 or 2 SMART goals on my list. I also like to vary up how big some of these goals are and how much they're actually going to change my life. So some of these goals, I mean, my number 1 goal, as I'm sure many of you know, is to be a performer on stage in a big touring production, like a big musical or in a movie, something like that. That's the dream. That's the goal. Every single year, that is always going to be my number 1 priority, is to be a professional working actor. But in saying that, on my 25 goals, they're not all going to be of that magnitude, because that would clearly be an entire lifestyle change if I actually achieve that. And that's going to take a lot of energy, a lot of effort to get there. But then something else that I've got on there is something like listen to 45,000 minutes on Spotify for music this year. Will that change my life? No, of course not. That's not actually going to be that drastic of a change, 20 years down the line. However, that would mean that this year I actually got to spend more time listening to music, which I really enjoy. I would have, probably been a little bit more mindful because I'd be listening to more music and less scrolling on TikTok, on public transport. There's kind of other reasons that I would have a goal like that. But again, it's just a very different type of goal. So I like to have a big variety of these kinds of goals, how drastically they're going to change my life versus if they're just kind of for fun, for me, for this year. It just keeps it interesting, keeps me motivated in my goals, and I'll get to the end of the year and I've got, again, a couple of these goals are pretty easy to achieve. One of my goals, I think, is to learn one new song on guitar. I could do that today. And I probably will after this. You know what? I'm going to learn a new song today, and then in 2 weeks, January 1st, I'll do it again so I can just tick that one off. Because again, for me, makes me feel better knowing that I did one thing on my 25 things list. The next thing we're going to do, we've now brainstormed all of our goals. We've worked out what the 25 goals are that we're going to have 2025. They are all actually important to us, things that we actually care about. There's a variety of goals, some that are big, some that are small, some that are fun, some that are very important to life. Now what? Now I write them down everywhere. I've got them written down in my journal. I've got them written down on my laptop. I put them in my bullet journal, which I'm very excited to show you guys. I love it. I have written them down. Look how gorgeous this spread is. I'm really happy with it. So I wrote them down in my bullet journal because the most important thing that I have found is putting my goals somewhere where I will see them every single day. Because if I forget about them for even a second, they're gone. Never thinking about them again. So I need to make sure that I'm looking at them all the frickin' time. The way that I've done this in the past, I've written them down in a notebook, ripped that page out, and then stuck it on my bedroom wall so I could see it every single day when I wake up. I have made them my desktop background before when I was using my laptop more. Basically, I will just make sure that I write them down physically all the time. That always helps me personally, but sometimes on my laptop is also helpful. But I like to write things down personally. And then I make sure that I can actually see them all the time, because for 2024, so 2023, first of all, I truly did not set any goals. That was a year where I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna put all of my energy into one singular goal. And that one goal was to be in a professional production. And even though I did a lot of amazing things in 2023, it was a great year. I was able to perform on stage that year, it was awesome. Because I didn't achieve that actual specific one goal, I ended the year being like, well, I achieved nothing, which is ridiculous. Obviously, again, like I said, it was still a great year and I did achieve a lot, but because it wasn't that one thing, I was annoyed. So next year, 2024, I then decided, okay, I'm gonna try and just set like a bunch of goals again, but I'm not gonna be too focused on it. It's not a big goal setting year for me, but here's my goals. And I wrote a bunch of goals down, and I wrote them down in my journal, like my everyday nightly journal. And then I forgot about it because I didn't rip out those pages, I left them in there, and then I would turn back to it every now and then to be like, how much of this have I actually achieved? None. I don't think I did any of those things. I think I drank more water. That's a success, that's a win. I did that. And I do know once again that this year was still a great year. Obviously, I still managed to achieve some great things. I did 2 different kids shows, which was great, but again, because I wasn't super focused and clear on my goals, it just felt a little bit meh, and I don't want that for 2025. For 2025, I want to be like, woo, that's the goal for 2020. I keep saying that's the goal, and I list 45,000 things, which I think is a good summary for this entire video. The goal is to be happy, and the goal is to be woo, and that's why I'm doing these 25 goals. So anyway. So yes, I reckon, for me, again, I put it back in my bullet journal. One of my goals is actually to do bullet journaling for a full year once again in 2025, because another thing, this just went hand in hand, 2023 and 2024. I wasn't focused on goal setting, wasn't focused on my bullet journal, and it made me feel disorganized and very unfocused, which I don't really like feeling. I like feeling a little bit on top of my shit. So I think these things are gonna go hand in hand. By having my goals in my bullet journal, I have to look at it every single day, and then when I'm looking at my bullet journal every single day, I'm looking at my goals. You know what I mean? It's kind of a mutually beneficial thing. So yes, that's where I'm putting mine. If you're not doing a bullet journal, no worries. Like I said, you can literally just write it down on a piece of paper, rip it out, stick it on your fridge, stick it on your front door, stick it wherever. Do multiple, put them everywhere. Make sure they are in your face so you cannot possibly forget any of these goals. That is my biggest tip. If you take anything away from this, write your goals down, put them somewhere where you are going to see them. Okay, the next thing I did, I haven't done this before actually, to be honest, but I was talking about my goal setting with my sister Tash, and she brought up a really good point of like, what will you do for yourself when you achieve these goals? How are you going to celebrate? What's going to be the reward? And I think that's really interesting because I've never thought about that at all before this year, because in my mind, the reward or the achievement has always been achieving the goal. That's been it. That does bring up a really good point of you need to remember basically to take time for yourself, to take a sec, celebrate the win, make it a moment and say, yay, I did the thing before moving on. So this year I decided I would actually set specific rewards for myself, which I think is kind of fun. So yeah, this is the first year that I set myself some rewards very specific to, I've numbered them 1 to 25 based on my goals that are on this page before. Some of the rewards I think are awesome. I might not actually do them anyway though, just because some of them feel a little bit counterintuitive. One of my goals is to save more money this year, and that one is like a SMART goal specifically. I've decided I'm going to save a certain amount of money by October. It's kind of realistic. I hope it's realistic. But anyway, that's my goal there. And it's kind of hard for me, at least, to set myself rewards that aren't purchase-based, so we'll see how we go with that. But either way, if that is something that helps you stay motivated, is having a reward, thinking like, when I do this, I'm gonna get this thing, awesome, do it, write that down. And if you're someone that needs to remind yourself when you've achieved something to take a second to celebrate, this might be helpful for you as well. I think it might be helpful for me for some of those goals to just take a sec and celebrate. My favorite reward on there that I've set is that if I do get a big production, touring, anything, whatever, I'm gonna fly back to Adelaide for a weekend. And it's gonna be great. I'm gonna celebrate with my family, and that's gonna be my specific, I did the thing, reward. But then there's other things, like if I read 12 books, I'm gonna celebrate by buying myself a new book. So you can, again, have fun with it. If you're not having fun with your goal setting, this is my other big tip. Write your goals down where you're gonna see them, and if you're not having fun, change something about it, because goal setting is meant to be fun. It's meant to make you happy. Speaking of fun, the next thing that I did was create my vision board for 2025. I love a vision board. I love Pinterest. I love pictures, as you can see. So I was very excited about making my vision board this year, and I also, once again, went with a slightly different approach this year for my vision board. You can probably see behind me, I've got my 2024 vision board up there. Now, I love my 2024 vision board. I think she's gorgeous. I put a lot of work into it. It's textured, it's got like pretty things on it. I love it, it's great. It's basically an art piece, to be honest. That's why I always have it like displayed in my room, and I'm probably never gonna throw it away for the next foreseeable future. However, in saying that, I did fall into the trap last year of putting some pictures up there that I didn't really actually feel connected to. The biggest thing about making a vision board is that you need to actually be connected to the pictures that you are putting on there. Otherwise, what are we doing? Kind of the same with setting goals that actually matter to you. There's really no point in doing it if it's not majorly relevant to your life. If you have never done a vision board before, this is how I like to do my vision board. I always go on Pinterest every single time because Pinterest is the best. It's my favorite app. Sorry about it, it is. This year I specifically made sure that the vision board pictures that I got were specifically related to at least one, if not maybe two, one or two of each of my goals. So I didn't have any, I've only got one picture on there that's kind of for the vibes, and even then that is for like my overarching feeling that I want for the year. I've got one of those on here. With my 2024 vision board, I did get quite a few pictures on there that they're just kind of there for fun, to fill space, because I thought they were cool. I've got some quotes that are fun, but not really helpful, I guess, for the year that I was trying to achieve. Unsure. Well, once again, because I wasn't super specific about my goals for 2024, my vision board wasn't really as specific as I personally would like it to be. So now it just kind of is there. It looks cool, but it's not really specific for my vision board. And I like my vision board to kind of go hand in hand with my goals and make sure that they're actually both helpful to remind myself what I'm trying to achieve. Also, so whether or not you believe in manifesting, I do find vision boards, and there's also like a lot of science and psychology to back this up, vision boards can be extremely helpful in helping you kind of get into the right mindset for achieving that life that you're trying to achieve, because it helps you see and visualize, that's the whole point of the board, what your life could be if you do these certain things, like what you're trying to get to. It doesn't work for everyone, but it does work for me sometimes, I think. Thus far, it seems to be working for me. I personally also like to make mine look very pretty, so that's why when I go into Pinterest and I type in whatever the picture is that I'm trying to get, I'll always add in like aesthetic next to it as well. So like gym girl aesthetic, workout aesthetic, music theater aesthetic, I don't know, something like that. You want to be able to like keep looking back at your vision board and be like, oh, that's what I want. You want it to be cool. If it looks kind of ugly, you're not going to want to look at it. And then once again, what's the point? That's like the phrase of the video today. What is the point? So yes, that's why I like to make my vision board look kind of pretty, decorate it, make it aesthetic photos that kind of go together. Another thing that I like to do, this is kind of like a little hack, I guess. I don't know, not a lot of people do this. I thought that everyone did this, but I guess not. When I'm getting pictures, I do like to get them, I don't know how to describe this, but like I'll try and make it so that it theoretically, that could be me in the picture, or I could have taken that picture while doing that thing. So instead of being like, say you want to buy a house this year, good for you if you can, but say you want to buy a house, instead of putting a picture of like a beautiful house from the outside on your vision board, if you get a photo of like someone holding their keys inside the house, and like they're inside, they're holding keys, that could be you taking a photo of your own keys inside this house that you own. Does that make sense? So putting yourself physically into that photo, that can kind of help you visualize even further, like this is going to be me by a certain time. Does that make sense? Anyway, that's what I go for. Typically then as well, if I do have photos of people in them, I do like it better if they're like slightly blurry so you can't really see their faces, or if they've got their hair in the way, because once again, it could be me. We don't know. I can't see their face. That could be me. I think I already mentioned this, but I do also like to decorate my vision board because, you know, we want to keep going back to it. We want it to be pretty. I like to add some fun stickers, washi tape. I think I did some little doodles in mine this year. It just, keep it fun, keep it personal. Remember that like it's for you. If you don't want to decorate it, don't do that. It's about you, boo. I'm not forcing you to do anything. The lucky last thing with vision boarding is that you need to put it somewhere you are going to see it all the time. Just like your goals, they need to be somewhere visible. If you're making this really cool vision board and then you put it in your cupboard and you never look at it again, say it with me, everyone. What's the point? So that's why I have been displaying my last vision board, you know, right here next to my bed where I'm going to wake up and see it every day. That is what I've got one back in my home in Adelaide, right next to my bed as well. And then I did a second one because I didn't want to get rid of that first one, like on my cupboard, so I would see it like before opening it and like going to get my clothes every single morning. Things like that, like put it somewhere you're going to see it. In saying all that, as much as I like having them displayed in my bedroom, I do think that's great. The years that I've had the most fun with my vision board were 2020, 2021, and now hopefully this year, 2025. All 3 of these years, I specifically put my vision board into my bullet journal right next to my goal setting pages. So they are side by side, like goals are here, vision board is here. They are linked, connected. There is simply no way that I can forget about them if they're right there. And I think that, again, for me, also really helps link the two together. So it's not just that the vision board is this cool, fun thing. It's specifically about my goals. And my goals aren't being forgotten because I can see them on the page before in the vision board. So for me, that just really helps. And again, I'm going to look at my bullet journal every single day. It's helpful, but it's not another big thing that I have to put somewhere in my house. Like, that's just me. So yeah, if you've got a bullet journal, maybe consider putting your vision board in there. Or if you're just using a regular diary, you can also, people forget this, you're allowed to have fun with a regular planner as well. You can just color it in. If there's a random page on there that you're never going to use, cover it with your vision board. It's an idea. The next thing that I did, this was really fun and I really like doing this. I've done this plenty of times throughout my life, but I wrote myself a little letter to the universe, a journal entry dated 31st of December 2025. So I had a moment of like meditation, I guess you could say, mindfulness, got into the zone, and just imagined how I would be feeling looking at this vision board as if all of this came true. Like every single goal that I set out to achieve happened. And I basically was writing a gratitude entry saying, I am so grateful that all of these things happened, and this is how I felt when this happened, and I can't believe that this happened. I'm so grateful for this. And I tried to keep it like super detailed as well. I did so many pages until my hand cramped. I just kept on writing, being so specific about every single goal that I wanted to achieve. And on top of that, I added little details as well. So that way it could be just, again, really feeling more realistic. So instead of just saying like, I am so glad that I read 12 books this year, I said, I loved reading these 12 books, especially the next one in the Swordcatcher Chronicles. That was my favorite book. I can't wait till the next one comes out. Stuff like that. So that way it like really feels personal. That's a real book that I actually also will be reading. I'm very excited about it. But that way it just feels, again, more real, more personal. Details about like seeing certain friends throughout the year that I haven't made plans to see these people yet. They live in another state, but hopefully I feel like I will be able to do that. And I've written down my journal entry for that, and I just thanked the universe, and I felt so good about myself after doing that. I thought, oh my God, I feel like I've done it. I've made it. I've achieved everything. It feels great. After that, I then ripped out the pages from the notebook that I was writing in, folded it up, and I taped it down in this, put it in this, what's this called? Envelope. I put it in this envelope, and I've completely sealed it as well. So I'm not going to open it. I'm not going to look at it for the rest of the year until December 31st, if I want to. I also don't have to ever look at it again. That's another thing. But if I feel like I've gotten to the end of the year next year and I'm like, yeah, damn, let's see how much of this I achieved, because this feels like a good year, I might go back through it. If I feel like I achieved nothing, I might not. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe I'll show you guys how that goes. But yes, so I wrote myself this little letter and I sealed it, and I'm never going to look at it again for the rest of this year. And it felt really good. It was a nice moment of mindfulness, clarity, excitement, I guess, motivation. I feel really motivated as well to achieve my goals, particularly having cemented it in that journal entry saying I'm grateful for having achieved those goals. 'Cause I'm like, well, I can't lie, I have to go achieve those goals now. Again, that's just how I'm feeling about it. The lucky last thing I did in my goal setting journey was give myself a pat on the back. Yay! I did it! I set goals! I think people forget that actually just setting goals is an achievement in itself. Not everyone does that, but being able to actually sit down and decide, this is what I want, this is how I want to change my life, these are the things that I want to do, that is the first step. And it's amazing to even take that step, because so many people in this world don't do that. So if you've set yourself some goals, give yourself a round of applause and a pat on the back, because you deserve it. You crushed it. And that is how I've been setting my goals for 2025. Whoa! This was a bit of a hefty video. If you guys made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. I'm hoping to do some more like motivation and goal setting and goal achieving videos in 2025. So if you're into that, subscribe. We're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be great. So to recap, we started off with brainstorming and then went through to picking out 25 goals from that brainstorm, picking out specific goals that actually matter to us, goals that specifically are relevant to us and not just things that we're doing for the sake of adding it to the list. We wrote them down, put them somewhere where we're going to see them all the time. Write it in lipstick on your wall if you're not going to get evicted. I don't know, do you? Whatever's helpful. We came up with some motivating rewards that might be helpful for trying to get you to stay motivated and achieve those goals. We made some gorgeous vision boards and we wrote a letter to the universe, thanking the universe for all of the amazing things that happened this coming year, that will hopefully come this year. And we gave ourselves a great big pat on the back. Yay! Ah, what a day. If you guys were setting goals alongside, awesome, great job. If you've already set your goals, tell me some of them in the comments. I'd love to hear it because I'm nosy and I like knowing other people's goals. You may have also been nosy and zoomed in on what my goals are for this year. Go for it. That's why I put them there. Be nosy. It's fun. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you had a good time, give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Don't forget also to leave a comment about what awesome goals you're going to be crushing in 2025, because I'm sure you're going to crush it, and support each other. We're all in this together. I feel like 2025 is going to be a crazy, chaotic year, but I think it's going to be good for goal setting. So let's all go achieve these goals, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.